Good on you, cousin. You've found the Gorgon Posse podcast of Medusa Rising. I'm Esme Strakelt, founder and editor of this joint, and we seek to deepen support and coalition among feminists globally and to publish new writing and media by women everywhere on Gaia's thrumming earth. You can find all of our world building at medusarising.org. You can also find us on Substack. Please share, download, share. We feminists must be our own algorithm. That is the postmodern magic. Here we go. So this podcast is a conversation between two Gen X Midwestern women who share a couple of codes some of you may not. The word whatever is Gen X for, well, fuck that, and among other things. And there's a lot of laughter in what will feel like inappropriate moments. That is the laughter that women have when we're really angry about something, but we're trying to be polite. It's also a sort of Midwestern response to things that are impossible. There's a great deal of irony in places where some of you may feel uncomfortable with it. Again, a Gen X and Midwestern thing. People don't talk about Midwestern irony quite enough. So just try not to misinterpret what's happening. Okay, cheers.
And then I say, yeah, it goes bom, bom, donk, donk, bom. It's very happy music for like a feminist podcast. They're usually like, dar, 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 you know, and I'm like,
happy. Yeah.
funk it up, people. We got to play.
Exactly.
Right. So my guest today at the Gorgon Posse podcast is Sunny Apocalypse, who I know from the social medias because months ago I posted a link to Heather Marsh's work and about a gajillion folders that are stored by Anonymous that have followed Epstein and some of these other, sex trafficker type people for years. And have amassed a massive amount of data. It's just that I never had any idea what to do with it, not in any like super effective way. So I just shared it. And eventually a mutual friend of ours came across it, started getting active, and then introduced us. And so that's how you're here.
It is.
And it turns out we're practically neighbors, so that's even better.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Sunny Apocalypse, tell me about this work and how you got into it and how much trouble you are causing for people who deserve it.
Yeah, I am causing a lot of trouble. So I'd say it was just a failed job search at the beginning of last year, and realizing Congress was pretty feckless on both sides. And I had left corporate to jump into a campaign in 24, and I learned that the inner workings of my party was just hollow, right? And so I knew, by February, nothing really was happening. Like the president is doing that dictator on the first day kind of stuff. So I started writing scripts for people, scripts to use to call Congress, about just overreach of power,
Yeah.
And you're cloudy right now.
I'm cloudy? Huh. What's wrong with the focus?
There we go.
Okay. Apparently I need to sit at this awkward angle. Okay.
Well, that's not good.
I'll be fine.
But anyway, to go back, I wanted you to look all cute. So I then, I started writing these scripts, and then I collected about 4,000 people within 6 weeks. So it was like there is a thirst to do something.
Yeah.
But nobody knew what that was because everybody had disengaged in civics. Voting was just like something you did, but it wasn't something to be researched, and it did. A lot of things fell apart, right? And so then I decided to like kind of brand up and create, the platforms and Substack on Twitter, on Blue Sky, and a bunch of other things, and started meeting people that were also into like teaching people stuff. So there's a lot of civic education that I'm trying to do and a lot of infographics. So from February to early July, it was mostly civics. They shouldn't be doing this. We pay them, blah, 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 blah. Then Pam Bondi on July 7th or 8th says, there's nothing more of the Epstein files. And I just knew that was a lie. And I didn't know much about the Epstein files. Like, thank God for like some of the MAGA women and people that were so passionate about it. Because to me, it just fell into the whole Q bucket, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so,
no, we have good evidence now that Q was designed as a distraction from this.
Yes. And so, but they put in, it's the projection thing, right? They did put in the Epstein files into it. So anyway, I'm talking to our mutual friend on the socials, and I was like, why doesn't anybody remember that this guy is such a creep? He's a womanizer. He cheated on all of his wives. He has a bunch of immigrant children, or anchor babies, as some would like to call them. Sorry about the pejorative, but like, yeah, and using their language. So I was like, hold on, I'm gonna go find some pictures. My mother was obsessed with the National Enquirer, and that motherfucker. Can I swear here?
Yes, you can swear here.
Okay, fantastic. So that motherfucker was on the top of the Enquirer all the time about Marla Maples or something with Ivana. And then there was always the really gross things that he had with Ivanka, his daughter, his first daughter, right? Yeah. And so I just, watching this guy forever, and we started collecting like pictures from the Enquirer and just going back into his records. And then it was like, oh yeah, he had the Nazi book, and just going back and back and back. And then it was, okay, these Epstein files are definitely going to be something that we need to get more at, and knowing that this would destroy him.
Right.
So we focused on, again, I made scripts. I pushed them out on different platforms and whatnot, and we targeted certain senators and representatives that we knew would have a voice in this. So Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of them. I think all the women, and the ones that had spoken about it again, and you'll notice she says transparency. Everybody was calling me, and they want transparency. Yeah, that was in the script, baby. So like calling and getting people to just mobilize just a little bit really makes a big deal. Now we're in this like stranger world, but I have become kind of an expert in a weird sort of way about the Epstein files, because as the people were talking about them, I started digging in, and I've been pretty right about, like, there's that spider graph you could probably show on here of the connections, and it's like those are the people, like Leslie Wexner and all those other people. And I know I've probably said way too much, but
it's okay. But no, it's nice. The folks who are following me aren't necessarily connected to you yet, so
right.
It's good to sort of establish the bona fides, right? I think you're the interesting, I think part of the energy between us is that, like me, you're sort of a person who learned how to be sort of a political operator by just going through the process. Like
Yeah.
I used to work with Virginia Now a long time ago, and I wrote scripts for people to, call their
Yep.
state reps and be like, please don't kill the ERA again, you assholes.
Right.
Like
Right.
we just kept that sucker alive for as long as we
Yeah.
could. And it's a weird training ground, but it helps you really feel, I think, in your bones that democracy is a contact sport,
Oh,
like
it definitely is.
you got to be in it if you
Yeah.
want to have anything to do with the outcomes,
Yes.
and that can take a lot of different forms. For you and me, it takes the form of communicating with people
Yes.
and helping them find their own way in. But yeah, it's just because this is gonna live on the internet for a long time, I just want to pause and say that we're just a little over a week after not the first ICE murder
No.
in the United States,
No,
but
not at all.
the murder of Renee Good has become a kind of focus point for our country. And there are a gazillion people who are living in absolute terror and fear, and whose families have been shattered by deportation, by kidnapping, by these deaths.
Yeah.
And the women who have come up to speak about their experiences as victims in the Epstein trafficking ring, sort of this like industry pipeline, right?
Yeah.
Of girls, and very young women, but definitely girls. It is taking everybody's really deepest courage already to come forward and stand up against these people, right? In the face of these women have been trying to bring this issue back to the public eye, some of them for 30 years.
Yeah, since 96.
Yeah. I remember becoming cognizant of Epstein in the mid 90s, and again in the later 2000s, and I didn't remember why I'd lost track of him, and I realized, oh yeah, I went to jail for a little while, and then he came back, and I'm like, who is this Yahoo walking around intellectual circles? Like, I don't know you. What are you doing here? This is my turf. Why are these people I respect talking to you? Who are you? It turns out he's the money guy. But a while ago, I made a recording asking people to sort of put a energy field of care and support around the Epstein victims. And I would today go ahead and just extend that to everybody who's been touched by this, which is in one way or another, everybody. We will get through this by holding each other up.
Yes,
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. I mean, these are serious things, and they are touching everyone's lives somehow. And we've been collectively the targets of a shock and awe campaign.
Yes, we have.
And a closing down of our democracy, a destruction of our institutions that has happened faster than it's ever happened anywhere else. So it's kind of, on the one hand, it's like, boy, that was easy to break. That's a surprise,
Yeah.
And on the other hand, we've had it working well for a long time for a long time. And so we're not ready, to like punch back,
Right.
But we'll get there. And one of
I
the
have
things
all sorts of theories about that, but we're not going to go into that.
We'll save those for later.
No.
Yeah. No, it's been a long time coming,
Yeah, it has.
That's for sure. But in that, you are one of the people that I know on the internet who just like stepped up to the moment in a way that a lot of our leadership hasn't been able to yet, even. And I'm hoping more folks will figure out what kind of risks they can take, and what kind of risks they're willing to take later as things intensify, because stories like this have very few possible trajectories, right? Yeah. So let's remember that we are doing this podcast as part of building that web of care. and speak about these women who were girls carefully and, rip the entrails out of the men who harmed them. I think that sounds fair.
Crush the patriarchy.
Yeah, I mean, this is it, right? This is really like a crystallization of both patriarchy as a theory of culture and the literal power structures in which we all live.
Yes.
It's right here. It's right here in this particular scandal that nobody will take for a scandal, right? It's been hidden and it's been sort of cosseted in these little fuzzy, soft focus kinds of situations for a long time, right?
Yes.
And that has worked to the wrong advantage. So let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein.
Can we take a pause?
Yes, we can pause.
Because I forgot my cord.
Oh, cool. Okay.
We don't want to.
No problem. Oh, yeah. That really bit us in the butt last time.
I'm like, God, I'm so dumb. I was like making sure the tech worked and I reviewed the script.
Oh, you're not dumb. I nearly spilled a cup of coffee on the, what do you call it? Surge protector next to the desk. Yeah. I like the coffee is spilling a little bit as I'm carrying like a book and all this stuff down here.
No.
And I look down and I'm like, do not short out the computer. God.
Do you need to get like a towel or anything?
No, I'm fine. This was a long time ago before we started. But yeah, I just looked at it. I was like, oh. I was saved by some weird little wiggle of physics, because it wasn't me.
Okay. Somewhere I'm in there. Okay, there.
Corey,
okay, let's do it.
Situated?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Epstein is one of those guys who's been like around, as you said, in tabloids, in magazines, on the scene for a really long time. Mm-hmm. He's always had a weird vibe, right? Like, you look back at even old pictures of him and you're just like, that is a creepy dude. That is somebody who's up to something. But his creepiness and his, we'll call it influence, didn't happen by accident. There is a very deliberate order behind what has been going on with this trafficking ring. And I think a lot more people understand what it is now, that there's not only a lot of clients, but that these clients are the people who run the world, or big chunks of it anyway.
Yes.
And it's the courage of these women who used to be children, who used to be young girls, that have kept the story in the public eye, right? Nothing else was trying to remind us that these people were corrupt in ways we didn't even want to contemplate.
No.
Yeah. So you've been doing a lot of research into it. And because you happen to be a researcher by trade, really, in a lot of ways.
Scientist.
Yeah. Science is good at research. There's always a lot of citations to follow, in a study. Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how did this particular trafficking operation work?
Yeah. So it's kind of simple, like a simple little business model. It's like, what's the product? Endless girls. What do the girls have to look like? They have to look, brand standards, right? So you have 13 to 17-year-olds. They're blonde. They're thin. No tattoos. They thought tattoos were trashy. And, and easy to manipulate. So I think that last one is super, important. And so they priced them and then they marketed them to the most ideal customers. But the real money wasn't, here's a girl for the evening, come to my island. Here, how many do you want? And then charge them by girl. It was the blackmail. Is that how they made most of their money? Like, so you say this ring, that's the Katie, this ring ruled the world because they did, right? And so Epstein and his co-conspirators created, as I framed it, a conveyor belt of girls.
Yeah.
So where do you get these girls? You get them from like modeling agencies and pageants, right? And you just, that ideal waspy architecture of, thin blonde, whatever.
Sort of European ideal of, prettiness and femininity. Yeah.
Right.
And who, sorry, go ahead.
No. And then, one thing to note is these girls came through Mar-a-Lago Spa as well, just like Virginia. Yeah. And Ghislaine took all the pictures.
So they're playing on, of the girls who are coming through this sort of pageant and modeling direction, they're playing on hope, right? They're playing on
definitely,
aspiration. And in the case of girls like Virginia Giuffre, they're playing on vulnerability, right? Economic and emotional or psychological vulnerability.
Yeah.
And then there's girls who are just trafficked, like just picked up and moved from places like Ukraine,
Most definitely.
That's the other, that's also feeding in here. But we're sort of focused on the bit that's closest to Trump himself, who owned a couple of these pageants, right? Like who else did?
So, well, the pageants Trump owned from, let me see. Sorry if I have to look at a couple of things.
That's okay.
I know that we kind of bounced.
We bounced?
We bounced.
We can bounce back. We can get back on track.
No. It's so great. I found all the dates. I want to get the dates right? So,
okay.
So there's the models and then the pageants. So the pageants, Donald Trump bought the Miss Universe empire, which included Miss America, Miss whatever other countries, and Miss Teen USA. Where he said he could walk in anytime he wanted to into their dressing rooms. He bragged to multiple people about that. It was on TV. I
remember hearing him say that in the early 2000s. I was just like, what?
But he got the idea. So that was from 1996 until 2015. So here's where he gets, so it's like, it's our generation too that got affected by this because it goes back to, so he has this legitimate pageant thing, Miss USA. My mom was a pageant girl. Oh my God. But the thing is that I think his inspiration there was the other fellows around him, which included Epstein, Jean-Luc Brunel, and then John Casablanca. Right? Wow. So Trump, well, let's see. We have Casablanca elite modeling, which I actually talked to them a couple times. And they couldn't manipulate me, and so they didn't want me. They're like, you dyed your hair a different color. If you're going to be a model with us, you got to have the brown hair as you came in. And I was like, screw that. I thought I could make a couple of bucks for college or whatever. I'm like, I don't want to be controlled like that. That's weird, I ran away. But girls that, acquiesce to that, stick around, right? So you play on the abused, you play on those that might be poor, whatever, and then you put them into a model contest, which is what I think is a 45-year-old Donald Trump hosts 2 of these things called The Look. This is John Casablanca's elite modeling pageant called The Look. And then Trump Trump owns this. Now just think about it. Like, we're Gen X, right? We've been through 45. Here's a 45-year-old man hosting teenagers, young teenage girls running around in bathing suits with Jean-Luc Brunel, who had a modeling agency called MC2. And, oh no, wait, it was the first one was Karen Models from 78 to 99. But it goes away in 99 because he's accused of drugging and raping the girls. So Epstein funds elite MC2 modeling from 2000 to 17. Like, Epstein paid for that, right? Now, you have, those three guys, David Copperfield hanging out with these guys, and they're judging teen girls, right? These girls are wearing next to nothing. They're on a stage. The men judge them and touch them and manipulate them, right? And so Trump then starts his own modeling agency, also in 99. From 1999 to 2017, Trump owned Trump Model Management, where, his wife and his daughter both had contracts with at some point. The biggest complaints about them was immigration. You can't make this up. Bringing immigration laws, taking passports, just doing all sorts of...
This is bringing young girls over from Europe, right? And from other parts of the world.
Yes. And then, taking the passports and stuff.
And this is straight up the to be investigating all the time, right?
Yeah. So they're all like, it's like Trump, it's Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever you say her name, Epstein, and Jean-Luc Brunel. Jean-Luc Brunel is a major player in this whole thing, and he's on, there's a famous picture of Giselle like sharing her boobies on a plane. I'll have that for you. But
oh my goodness,
he's the one that took the picture, and he's in other pictures. He ends up dead in jail, just like Epstein. So, who is actually the kingpin in all this?
Well, there could be more than one. It's a big empire.
Right.
Yeah. And if two of the kings are friends, for as long as they're friends, that's fine, right? For them.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to take us back a little bit.
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
Back in our script, back in our little plan, but also back because
whatever.
This is, we got some good stuff planned in here. I'm going to make sure we get to it. But it's the 90s, right?
It's the 90s.
When a lot of this, not necessarily the use of young girls this way, but these modeling agencies and the interconnections between these businesses and brands starts to gel, right?
It's a gel.
And it reminds me, like, I remember the 90s distinctly, right? And there was this, like, on the one hand, we were women and we could do the things that we chose to do in life. And on the other hand, there was this, like, skeevy, girls gone wild style of misogyny floating around, this sort of glitzy, prurient, but fun. It's fun sort of male gaze, right? And there's been a documentary about specifically the Girls Gone Wild series and the number of girls who were, altered for life, or friendships that were destroyed, in the course of performing for these asshole dudes. So there's a whole atmosphere in the 90s that kind of is in competition, I think, with the more Gen X-y grunge, sort of still kind of punk ethos that reemerges, right, with the grunge scene. And I think those two like energies are directly in contrast with, they're directly in confrontation with each other, you know?
Yes, they are.
And I know which side we picked.
Oh, hell yeah.
But how, like, it takes a lot for that kind of, even for that much power among those few men, it still takes a lot of sort of platforms for that to form the culture, the zeitgeist, right? That it created, right? So how did that part work?
Oh, well, that's fun. Well, we go back to we go to Leslie Wexner, who has just been subpoenaed by Congress or is about to or something like that, and also implicated in the Ohio State abuse, that wrestler guy that abused all the
the coach
and Jim Jordan.
He's been he's been subpoenaed now?
Yeah, I mean, there's Ann Epstein. So
okay,
this is Leslie Wexner. If you don't know who he is the king of L brands. Remember the Limited, the Express, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works. Yeah, that's all
really
him. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was the specific kind of lotion that Jeffrey Epstein liked to use for his massages. Bath and Body Works. Oh, wait. So here's a weird thing. So we go into, like, how does Jeffrey Epstein get the money to set up everything? To set up the con, to set up the blackmailing? Because you need finances for that as well, right? You can't just be, and there's, earlier on, there's no phones or anything. And so Leslie Wexner, for some reason, gives Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney over his whole entire empire. Seriously. And also that big old mansion, like the largest mansion or whatever in New York City that Epstein and Maxwell lived in, that was actually owned by Leslie Wexner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these people were tight.
Yeah. I mean, I the only kind of power of attorney I've seen in like normie life is when my ex had to take care of his father's estate because he died.
Right.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
And so this isn't normal behavior. Epstein didn't finish college. Epstein is some weird guy with a weird shaped cock, right? Like, what is going on here? But so you got this guy. And so there's how they're kind of connected and the money and whatnot. And then there's like the whole Victoria's Secret pageant, more pageants. And we have multiple spottings and documentation of Epstein, Trump, and sometimes Melania at Victoria's Secret.
Fashion show.
The fashion shows with the angels and whatnot.
Yeah.
These things were all on CBS from 2001 to 2018.
Yeah.
Right? And and so they just kind of pushed it in. So we got the Girls Gone Wild. We've got Undies on TV. By 2001, it's perfectly fucking normal to have women in lingerie, skimpy, on TV all throughout the 2000s. It's fucking weird. On CBS, no less.
On CBS, no less. Yeah, it's all sort of part of this ongoing, I mean, we're still living in it, massive backlash against the steps that women were making forward. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We've been independent, legal human beings for 60 years, and we have lapped most men in that time. right?
Yes, we have.
We're just taking care of business, you know?
We are.
And being at our capacity instead of, you know, hiding that capacity to keep everybody comfortable. And at the same time that's really ramping up. Again, this is the 90s. Here comes that whole sort of purient, objectifying male gaze, that zeitgeist returns, that is just about the surface of a woman, right? Just her form and her sort of presentation of herself for men, right? That's in there
always
working against us. Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember the author who said it, but it's pretty much how the 90s started was in a gymnasium, like a video in a gymnasium. It's, you know, smells like Teen Spirit. And then, the end of that decade, we have Britney Spears, underage, dancing around in
a high school hallway, right? Is this the Hit Me Baby One More Time video that you're thinking about?
Yeah, she's like this high school nympho. Right. And it's all gross. And it's like, and I still remember it, and I was like, what? It's like men were saying, I can't wait till she is of age. Right? There was like this celebration. That. It was just
Hannah Montana. That happened with, you know, that happened with everybody who was female and showed any talent. Was that, you know, the reason for your talent and your great singing voice and, you know, your skill is that you are titillating to me and I can't wait to get my hands on you from the male point of view, you know? It's just, you know, I'm just going to say it because it needs saying every day. I am constantly reminded in a disappointing way at how little imagination a lot of men actually have.
It's true.
You know, like when they get power, what do they do with it? The same stupid shit they've been doing with it forever, which is turn girls and women into commodities that they can use. Like, do you have nothing else you could do with your time, you know, and your excess resources? God. So,
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's okay. These are just things that I'm annoyed about. So, like, one of the things that feminists have been doing for decades and decades and decades is working in various ways to support women and girls who have been trafficked or who've been in prostitution. There's groups like Nordic Model Now, rather famously, who are working to criminalize the buying of sex rather than the selling of it. Because that, except in the case of pimps and madams, because that model recognizes that most of the women who are in that industry aren't entirely there of their own free will, right? These are often women who have been just cornered by life into those positions. But interestingly, the DOJ just recently cut the $90 million, I just want to say it's only $90 million budget for supporting trafficking survivors. In a move that I think is tacit support for trafficking in general, and pretty suspiciously timed, given, you know, the let's call it celebrity of this scandal, right? In the middle of that, and they'd already removed a lot of the information and funding for domestic violence or sexual assault last year. Like, that was one of the first things they did. But this year they cut the funding for trafficking survivors. So there's a, you know, this my point there is that this powerful sort of cadre of people is still using all the levers that they can get their hands on to protect themselves, to make their work continue, to make it safer. And this is, in Epstein's case, you're talking about the blackmail that he used. But for a lot of these people, and we'll talk about the blackmail some more later, but for a lot of these people, what they're doing is they're entertainment. This is their fun.
Yep.
Right. And basically the DOJ has become one of the levers that is protecting that fun for those overwhelmingly men, right? Yeah. So we continue to have an uphill fight with all of this. It would be super great if we win an election in the fall and go after these people.
Yeah. I think we need to go after them before the fall.
No. I know.
I don't know if we're gonna get a chance to vote.
All people on our team keep wanting to play by the rules, you know. And, on the one hand, I agree we need the rules, but on the other hand, they're not playing by the rules.
Sure. The Second Amendment was written for a tyrannical federal government, so
just saying, right? What did they used to say during the elections when it looked like the Democrats were winning? We might have to resort to, what was it? Might have to resort to Second Amendment. Second Amendment. What did they call it? Corrections or something? Like, the threat being, the threat being that, like if you guys win this election, we're gonna come and kill you. I'm like, okay, whatever. Here we are. So, right. So in this big, cloudy, icky context of very clear, just basic run-of-the-mill patriarchy amplified to world scale, girls are going through these pageants and these modeling agencies and modeling schools. And some of them are being harmed, right? And some of them are probably telling their parents, right? Or trying to warn other girls. We all know how the belief and not belief process works around this. For women, typically, they are not believed. But why would the parents... I don't know if you have an answer to this, but why would the parents keep coming to and trusting these pageants and agencies when the win rate in the pageant and the success rate as a model is so small? Right? I mean, like, it's like winning the lottery. The odds are nuts, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be Cindy Crawford.
No.
Probably.
Probably. No.
Or any of those 5, like the supermodels who ruled the 90s and were in the George Michael's Freedom video, right? Like,
yes.
That was the glam that sold it all, right?
Yeah, but if you notice, those are women.
Oh yeah, those are grown women.
And then the 90s, we had Kate Moss. Wafy, she's 16. That whole thing.
Looks like she has an iron deficiency. Yeah.
Lay off the heroin, kiddo. Oh my God. But
the heroin chic.
But I don't think most girls in high school are that aware, right? Like,
fair,
and if you come from a background of abuse or you've been gaslit already, it's easy. You're a mark. So it's easy to manipulate somebody that's been manipulated, because that person already has turned that mechanism in their brain to trap it. I'm calling it like the little trauma trunk, and then you close it up and then it just slams shut. And I didn't write this in here because we were going to do this last week and I got triggered because of Renee Good's murder. But it's literally unless you're triggered or you go to therapy, you're in a safe space, you go to therapy or whatever, or it happens again, it's it just stays put. You don't remember it, right? And so I think there was a big wake-up call actually just last week. Like a lot of people started, oh yeah, this is the guy that got us into the pandemic. Oh my God, what is going on? Right. And they're more aware and people are more aware. But it really, you can keep people who are traumatized, right?
So it's yeah. And these kinds of predators can sort of smell that, right?
They can.
Yeah.
It's
And can reactivate it, right? Like
exactly.
you shut down, let bad things happen, dissociate, put them back in the box, rinse, repeat.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
Which is terrifying, but I've been through it. But gaslighting is like twisting reality for the victims. And like, so it's like the parents are told this is great for the girls. They'll get poised, they'll da, all that stuff. Scholarships, blue, modeling. Maybe the girls are told they're famous. And there's this constant back and forth of like abuse, holding back things, and then calling them beautiful. Right? You're special. And then whack them again. So it's like, it's intermittent in psychology. It's that intermittent reinforcement that just makes, a dog, a human, a mammal just come right back to it. Right? Yeah. It's sad.
The hope in the creature that's being hurt. Right?
Yeah. And I think these people really like to hurt people. Like they get pleasure out of it.
This has been shown that like the studies that sociologists and psychologists have done of like abusers and repeat rapists, etc., is that the thrill, the enjoyment is not anything about the physical contact. It's the fear and the ongoing suffering in the victim that is their source of fun and excitement. It's really vampiric,
It really is.
It's super duper vampiric, and it's because it's about this like energetic exchange. And because that energetic exchange, fear to pleasure, right, gets repeated in sort of the hormonal relationship between the body and the brain, right? The brain learns that this is what I enjoy. It's really hard to break those bonds.
Yeah.
And so the more this is repeated, the more a person wants to repeat it, right? It becomes the thing that is pleasurable to them, or the most pleasurable thing to them. And in the case of these modeling agencies or pageants, because they're so public, right? Or the L brands, right? Victoria's Secret fashion show, because they're so public, right? Like they're right there in front of you. They're hiding right in plain sight. They're absolutely wrapped in trust, right? Mm-hmm. Like,
I mean, all of Trump's Miss Americas and whatnot were, I think it was NBC, right? So it's just like all in your face. Like this is the ideal. This is how you get, become famous, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This you've been selected because you're the most beautiful. And in a culture that has not given up judging women by their attractiveness, and in the 90s and 2000s, when that is coming back so hard through these very same mechanisms, right? That feels like winning. That feels like success, right? Which all by itself is an endorphin hit of massive proportions.
I think so.
Like, I can see how there would be a willingness to not notice a red flag, right? To forgive a mistake until you're stuck, Yeah,
you're stuck and all, I don't know. I always thought like maybe men have this like training book on how to manipulate women and they pass it around to each other. But it's like, it's the same tricks, over and over, and until you
little.
see it. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure that these things are passed down through the generations.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
They're informal education pathways, right?
I think so.
Yes, it's called pornography.
Yeah.
Among other things.
Yeah. You know more about that stuff. Not pornography.
Well, yes, I think a lot of the folks listening to this are going to be able to slot in a whole set of information right there about how that is a training ground in many ways.
Yeah.
And so is a lot of popular media. You know, we see so many films about men manipulating women with these same tools, right? I mean, it's an easy thing to pick up, you know.
It really is.
Yeah, but if you get a group of like convicted like domestic abusers in a room for group therapy, and get them to talk about how they did this, how they managed this process, it's the same. You know, and then you have to break up some of the group therapy because they'll start trading tips.
Oh my God.
So you have to like, yeah, there's a real intense informal cooperation amongst sort of these predatory personalities.
Yeah.
That is at the moment difficult to interrupt.
Yep.
Yeah. So is the money secondary in a process, in a situation like Epstein's ring? Like, what is for him? For high trouble. How dare the mailman arrive? How dare the UPS truck go by? How dare the crow drink the water in the front yard? Like, whatever is happening right now, that needs to be dealt with.
Getting protected.
Like, it feels like the power, the influence Epstein would have over powerful people is almost secondary to the money that he would be bringing in from them, right?
Yeah, I think it's
I don't know.
It's the what I keep going back to is look what we can do. You know, kind of like I have limitless power. I can keep. I mean, there's some of the stuff that's coming out of the Epstein files. There's a fellow named Sasha Barrows or whatever who has been speaking about being a young boy in the same network. It's coming out right now, but you know, there's similarities and some same names, and it's like there are people adopting children to be raped as well, kept in pens is what is alleged, and that or they were born into it, right? So you hear these terms, so it's like it's beyond comprehension to me at the moment.
Yeah,
how deep it goes, but I think it's like, you know, I don't know if you watch Silicon Valley, but the whole Blood Boy thing, you know, where the older Silicon Valley dudes were getting transfusions of younger men's blood.
yes.
and I think that that's actually true, but I think there's something that's at like our little secret, right? It gives them more. It is vampiric, right? I can't even comprehend the dehumanization of the whole process, and the kids are just trapped there. So it's like you've got the gaslighting, but then you've got people that don't even know that there's something else, right?
Yeah.
It's horrifying. I'm sorry to go all that dark.
No, it is. I remember reading in the early 2000s, a number of reports about the human trafficking industry in the United States. And this was in Harper's Magazine, back when it was like a monthly. and or reports on the family and its influence over politics. And I remember talking to my parents about this, and they're being like, what? It's just like too far out of context, I think, for a lot of people then. But one of the things, I remember forever, I will remember one of the young women who was telling her story to this writer was that when she escaped out of this basement in suburban America, she'd been there long enough that she'd forgotten her birthday.
Yeah.
And that's it is a horror in our society beyond what's happening, to us politically, that we absolutely are going to have to confront if we hope to move into any more humane form of life with each other. This just cannot be a thing that we allow if we hope to be human beings in the future.
Right.
I'm amazed at how that reality exists right alongside these men and women, and how they are the very people we are told to admire. Right? They're set up. They're not just rich, or they're not just smart, or they're not just successful, but we also have to admire them.
Right.
They are, Heather Marsh would call them an endo ideal, right? An ideal type.
Yeah.
That everyone is supposed to, sort of reflect their greatness back to them. And at the same time, inside of that, not everyone who is rich and powerful or controls a great deal of the world is a horrible human being, but a little bit. But it seems like a suspicious number of them are. And I'm surprised. Why am I surprised? At the amount of admiration that they know that they are collecting to themselves, and the hollowness of them, the hollowness of someone like Epstein or Maxwell or Trump or the former Prince Andrew or like it seems like that mismatch between admiration and material success and genuine power, and the hollowness and smallness of imagination in these people, it's a contradiction. It feels like it's hard enough that it should get us regular people, the plebs out here, stop letting them design the world we live in.
Yes. 100%. Yes. I mean, going back to my corporate land, I think we're off script. Is that okay?
We'll get there. We'll get back. I'm watching us.
Are you? I don't know where we're supposed to be.
I am. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's as if the bullies won. Right? So anybody that knows how to push people to do the work, say crazy nonsense, and everybody's like, oh yeah. And then there's, the rest of us are like, hey, that doesn't make sense. And then we're like slapped down and stuff. And it's like I've been proven right over and over and over and over again. But I not at that time. And I race, like I run out of a company because it's like, oh shit, I'm gonna get fired because
I said that this was nuts. I'm gonna be in trouble. Yeah, there's a great. I'll have to link it in the notes with this episode. There's a really good YouTube video I've seen. I can't remember who did it right now. I'll have to look it up, about how the insulation of money and the power of being like the CEOs of these big companies, et cetera, et cetera. Like, people just cannot say no to you. They can't tell you that you've lost it, or that you're not connected to what's really happening even in the company,
Oh yeah.
And so
I got called a witch. I got called a witch by my boss's boss. Now, he was like 35. It was like way younger, way inexperienced, but he predicted some business stuff. He called me a witch. Not to McGee's, to somebody else, because that's, the gossipy kind of clicky thing.
But I mean, we are, what is it, countdown to 15 minutes from witch burnings again? So yeah.
I think so.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
Makes sense to me.
But it is, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, please. I was thinking, I don't know where we are on the script.
That's okay. I got us.
Okay.
I want to hop back gently to the pageants again for a second.
Yeah.
Because there's a series of dates here. 2010, 2013, where, like, in 2013, Trump hosts Miss Universe in Moscow, right?
Yes.
And he's quoted saying there, like, there's tape of him saying, maybe I'll become Putin's friend.
Correct.
What's going on in 2010 and 2013 in this sort of pageant industry that's still connected to us now?
Wow.
That we're seeing the effects of now.
Yeah. Well, 2010, he adds a lingerie photo shoot to the Miss America pageant. So there's that. And there's video of it. And it's,
wow, like historically, like that was verboten, right?
And then there's Moscow. And that's where Trump's in some like Moscow oligarchy sons music video for some reason. And then the alleged P tape comes from that visit as well. Now, I don't know what the P tape really is, if it does exist, but that's that whole time frame. In 2013. Yeah.
I mean, if Epstein, too, is collecting, compromise on his clients, there may not be a P tape, but there may be something. There may be a tape.
There's definitely something, and there's chit chat. I didn't write this down, but there's chit chat in the Epstein files that have been released between Steve Bannon and Epstein talking to somebody in Russia on how to get stuff out of Trump. It's like, flatter him. So, like, yes, totally compromised.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it feels like even once you're inside of this system, what is happening should be super duper obvious to you. Because how could these people be operating this way if they were actually being observed, right? Like, there has to be a beginning to the abuse of these girls that sort of knocks them down from the beginning, right? Like, you can't controlling people is its own methodology, and it's pretty consistent, as we were saying about these vampiric sadists before. But how does that escalate?
Well, I mean, you trap them, right? You trap people, and it's not hard. It's like you tell people this is how it works. You see her over there, she ain't complaining. Or we remove a model contract from you. Oh, you're not going on that photo shoot. And then there's, don't make trouble. And then there's all the gaslighting around it, like you're overreacting, you're too dramatic, but there's always like, don't tell anybody. And they're tested, right? I think like the ones that are more malleable are the ones that continue to progress. And then they learn those tactics. Like eventually you progress to be an abuser as well, right? I think about, yeah. And like, so let's say you don't come from a lot, and now all of a sudden you have like Gucci bags and all free Victoria's Secret stuff everywhere and Bath and Body Works.
Sure.
So it's like the materialism is thrown upon them, and they become wrapped up into that. It's like I've experienced it myself. Like I have a couple Coach bags. Why do I have a couple Coach bags? Because everybody around me had them. And I felt like less than when I was just wearing my, holding my canvas bag, like a good NPR listener, right?
Right.
But
Fair.
But like you're given more if you acquiesce. Miss Erica Kirk has been a reality show star. She has been a singer, poor singer, and like she has a tramp stamp. Like what? And she's telling other women, like, don't, just get married. Don't be a whore.
Well,
but she's also,
I mean, they do in the Christian nationalist universe, there are only those two kinds of women,
yes,
right?
there are.
And
yes, there are.
Yeah. But so what you're kind of drawing here is a sketch of how one person we know, Erica Kirk, is roaming around in this world, right?
Yeah.
Making her way through it, and becomes more and more and more attached, not just to, the world of modeling or pageants or that kind of like traditional feminine competition, but eventually becomes very attached to MAGA, because MAGA is all about very traditional feminine kinds of women, right?
Yeah.
So the step is easy, right? Yeah. It's a lot of jewelry for a podcaster.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
That's not how anybody dresses right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because most of the most people of means, as they say, are really dressing down all the time, right? It's super simple, way low key, right? No flash.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
It's a little strange.
A lot of our listeners, a lot of our viewers, because this is a feminist joint, are going to be pretty familiar with how girls and women get trapped. Because we've studied it or we've been through it, which is part of what made a lot of women into feminists. Very firsthand confrontations with the methods patriarchy uses through individual people, right? Individual men. They control a woman's space. They control her time. They control her money. They control her friendships. They reduce and reduce and reduce her world as far as they can, right? To sometimes the point of total breakdown. She usually doesn't have access to resources that let her go anywhere. But when you're talking about like Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago, modeling agencies, what is the nature of the restriction? Right? Theoretically, you can leave Mar-a-Lago and go home, right? Theoretically, I'm not saying, well, why didn't they just leave? I'm not asking any question like that. I'm asking, what's the technique or threat that eventually is the trap,
They eventually just tell, from what it seems like, is that they tell people, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your family. I'm going to use anything that you did here, even though I forced you to do it, against you. Right? It's like when I saw the stuff about like Epstein after he got convicted the first time or the only time, um, a lot of the women, uh, the abused, the survivors, would try to sue him. And him and his lawyers decided that it would be best. And this is Alan Dershowitz, right? That is helping with this whole thing. That we're going to show your abortion records in court. So how is your Roman Catholic parents going to deal with this, right? You killed 3 babies. Well, I raped you. I impregnated you. I sent you off with, to have abortions, and now I'm going to use that against you. I mean, there's just like there's like everything unimaginable, evil, again, vampiric.
Mm.
It's like what the Bible.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's like we've been warned about this stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's really 2 forms of restraint or constraint, right? One is, a ranch in the middle of the desert. One is an island in the middle of the Caribbean. So physically not going anywhere, but then also the legitimate, like, threat to your life, right? Threat to your social existence, threat to your family, right? I remember Virginia Giuffre in her book talks about wanting to make sure that her children were safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The degree, it's similar to Weinstein, right? Like, he would ambush women and then threaten them, right?
Yeah.
There's always this like using the fear of the public's approbation against these girls and against these women.
Okay.
Because we've all seen it, right? We've all seen just, the case where a girl is harmed, right? In any small town in America, right? And then is ostracized if she speaks, right?
She's a slut.
Yeah. Or
Like,
we just can't ruin the life of this fine young man or whatever.
He's the quarterback.
Even if he's not a quarterback, he can amount to something someday. We should let him have a chance.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, and then, you compound that by, in the presence of Trump or Epstein or any of their sort of assistants in all of this work, you are confronted by people who are close friends with some of the most powerful people on the planet.
Of course.
And you know it. You've seen it, right?
You've been at
the social mixers where they're hanging out, right? Because you were told to be there.
Yep.
A lot of people still today, to my amazement, given the amount of work that almost every kind of feminist has done on this problem, is that a lot of people still think that these crimes are about sex, right? That they're about sexual enjoyment and sexual pleasure. But all of the research that we've been able to do, some of which I'm going to be talking about in a whole series of posts that are coming up over the winter. Yeah, I set myself an assignment that is not making me happy right now.
Oh, I'm in one. I do that to myself all the time.
Yeah, well,
support each other and be like, you don't have to do everything,
Yes, but I did write most of this, so I'm gonna finish it. Just as a point of pride, as a writer and intellectual.
Yeah.
Because it's also kind of about this, But it's not about sex. It's about a whole bunch of other things.
It's
right?
power. it's power that the adults are able to, I mean, it's horrifying, but to be able to be unhinged with a weaker person, and like just one thing that everybody has to understand is that the women in these circles, like the friends, they too are not, uh, they're not innocent. So Ghislaine abused most of the girls with Epstein, after Epstein. They, you know, yeah. And they just kept them there, right? It just, it's the dehumanization
Yeah.
of women and girls. And there's something specifically evil. I think it was Madeleine Albright said that, like one woman that hurts another woman, right? It just,
Yeah. There's a special hell.
there's a special hell for them. Yeah.
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 Well, there's so much in our, 5,000-year-old patriarchal cultures that's cooperating with this. This is a flow that it's easy to stay in, right? As a perpetrator, as a predator. Like the smirks in the photographs of these people.
Oh.
Just fucking piss me off.
Yeah.
It's like they're looking at cameras, they're at these events, and they know who they are, and they know you don't. Not yet. It's just like they know that the normal social neglect of the harm that is done to women and children, largely by men, is just part of their cover, right? And there's this image I think a lot of people walk around with of especially men, but also women who do this kind of harm, that there's some mistake, there's some loss of personal control or decorum or some frenzied exception, right, to their actual personality, their actual moral compassy thing, right? And it just isn't. Over and over and over and over again, we see that especially men who engage in these behaviors, women who engage in these behaviors, are quite deliberate. Even the small scale anonymous, you never heard of him, preacher somewhere in West Texas, is super duper deliberate in their methodology, right? There's nothing out of control about any of it.
No.
Which is part of what makes that smirk hurt so much,
Yeah.
that they know how much they're getting away with.
They do.
Why? You've done a lot of thinking about this, which is why they get away with it. Why our systems, our justice systems, our investigative institutions can't seem to get at these people.
Right.
And to the degree that they have, we, the public, still can't get the information. We know, like RAIN has statistics on how many sex abuse or rape cases are ever prosecuted or convicted, and the conviction rate is pathetic. And it's like 2%. That's a lot of sifting. A lot of sifting happens that, keeps men from facing the consequences, or any consequence sometimes, for their choices. And this is the reported stuff. We know the rate of harm is much higher. But this is exactly the kind of case, like I said earlier, that the FBI should be investigating. This is what it exists for. I mean, they could even just be looking at Epstein for blackmailing people, right? If anybody were brave enough to say that asshole has been blackmailing me, which clearly they're not, because somehow, on the one hand, they're surviving in the flow of, just our entire culture's attitudes about these kinds of crimes, but also a little worried that they might take a reputational hit, so they didn't speak up, right? The only people who spoke are the girls.
And nobody believed them.
And nobody believed them. um, how the fuck does that keep happening? I mean, that's a naive question, but it is frustrating, right?
It's super frustrating, but you know, powerful people protect each other. You can see it in the birthday book, which I'll send you as well, my analysis of the birthday book. But
Well,
you can see it where Alan Dershowitz says, "Oh, hey, for your birthday, I gave Vanity Fair a story about Clinton." So, you know, the magical, mysterious Epstein or whatever that article was. So they kind of, it got buried and it just like didn't, it wasn't as saucy as or spicy as it should have been. But like
mm,
Dershowitz sent them on a fishing expedition for Clinton. Now you can see Bill Clinton's article, like note is right before, or right after Dershowitz within Epstein's birthday book. And Ghislaine made those. They're like 3 leather bound books. But you can just see it right there. It's like, I'm protecting you. I dropped a story about Clinton. Oh, and then there's Clinton saying, "Happy birthday, Jeffrey Epstein. Your childish demeanor is always noted," or something, right?
wow.
Yeah. And like, they're protecting each other. The victims are treated as the problem. The gaslit stay gaslit. And if we just don't talk about it for a while with our like goldfish, you know, attention span, we'll just forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah. The onslaught of news and events and, you know, fucking Marvel movies.
I miss the indie films of the 90s.
Man alive.
Right?
Yes. Oh God. I was listening to this podcast the other day. I think it's called Team Human.
Okay.
And it's hosted by a Gen Xer who's probably a year or two older than I am. He's a little more weathered, but he's got a very he's a very New York kind of Gen Xer. We are Midwesterners.
We are totally Midwestern.
But yeah, but he was talking about well, it doesn't matter. But anyway, one of the topics that came up was the ways that human beings have created for themselves leisure time. And how in industrial, post-industrial capitalism, and certainly in neoliberalism, leisure time has disappeared.
Yes, it has.
Right? Partly into the internet where we get stuck because it's designed that way, but it has also disappeared for people who have a great deal of work. Yeah. It just keeps coming in and needing to be done or kept up with so that you can even keep a roof over your head, you know, if you are lucky enough to be able to. And the host was like, yeah, like we picked up on this. Gen X picked up on this in the 90s, the 80s and the 90s. We were all about the slack. And what was slack? Slack was time to be creative. Slack was time to hang out with your friends and be deeply connected with each other, right?
Yeah.
Slack was, a lot of it was spent at Denny's eating, you know, French fries and ranch dressing, you know, like just with each other, you know?
It was the Denny's was the cup of coffee and smoking. Then we all
that
21, and then we went to the bar, and we just like nursed beers all throughout the night, and just kept
talked with each other, right?
Yeah,
made up stories, dreamed about things, you know, like we weren't quite just. And sometimes we got together and really made shit, you know. We weren't we weren't quite yet so trapped in just being receivers of, you know, Geist of whatever the fuck is going on out there.
I think we're still doing that work, though. Like some of us, like right here, right now.
This is that. Yes. Although we're going to turn it into something that we hope a whole bunch of people just receive and then go and act on, you know, like receive this and then please go set something on fire. You know, metaphorically, you know, I mean, metaphorical fire, but, you know, at the same time, there are like metaphors built up in this. We've used words like objectification so much or dehumanization in discourse around these kinds of abuses and crimes that people think of them metaphorically. And it's like, no, in these processes, perpetrators literally reduce people to objects.
Yeah.
You know, to a tool for themselves. And the dehumanization is not metaphorical. It is literal. What do you, I mean, in the face of that, what do you imagine are the best outcomes? Like your chain. Your chain looks like my chain. That's funny.
Oh,
They're both
yay.
rectangles.
Oh, it is rectangles. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband gets me like beautiful little gemstones, and I love crystals and stuff because but thank you.
Yeah.
So best case, truth is exposed. We shut down conveyor belts of girls. Everybody's tried, like the co-conspirators are tried publicly. Systems begin to change. Everybody is like born fresh and pure and allowed to be their best self. Right? But I also, because I'm Sunny Apocalypse, I come up with worst case scenarios as well.
The apocalypse part? Sure.
The apocalypse part. And I'm just like, I'm thinking, what would they do? So they just probably collect us all and send us to little St. James. And we would just like, but we would be together. We'd be exiled, but together. So, we'll still have a party.
I don't like the tropics, but whatever,
Oh, I do.
I'm not going to be picky about the utopia, keep it warm. Yeah, no, that's cool. This is a problem in my house, right? I am a warm-bodied human who is constantly like, I want to go to Ireland for vacation. And my husband is a cold-bodied human who constantly wants to go to the tropics. And so we're just yeah. When we get vacations, it's always a coin toss, like north or south.
No.
No. Yeah. If we're headed into an ice age, I would be a great person to have around.
I would not.
Just literally a radiator. Yeah. Yeah. But the world is what it is, so it's gonna get warmer.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because you're coming to, a feminist kind of working against this particular kind of human trafficking.
Yeah.
The fundamental mechanism of which is sort of a violentized sexuality, right? Or a sexualized kind of violence, but it's a violence nonetheless. It is the thing that we say across most human cultures is the worst offense, the worst crime. Maybe it may make people even angrier than murder.
Yeah.
But we tolerate it. Systems tolerate it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's the very worst thing anybody can imagine until a girl says it happened. And then it's her fault.
Yeah.
Right? We just kind of default to.
He was tempted.
He was tempted.
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. Yeah, I remember many cases of, I remember more than one case of that's a very seductive 8-year-old you have there. And I'm like, how is an 8-year-old possibly seductive? You're currently helping people figure out how to activate in the face of these massive forces, I guess. Massive forces. How would you advise anyone who sees this, whether they are a deeply experienced, old school feminist, or, someone who's just kind of like, what the fuck with the Epstein, and sort of new to the situation, what would you How would you advise people to engage?
Yeah.
Where can people dig in and then act?
Yeah. So just to promote my wares,
Yeah.
more, you can, I will give you all the links here, but I did the hard work of like reading the birthday book, which to me should be just everybody knew what was going on. It's very obvious when you read it, but I read it like the 250 pages, and then I put together a summary of it. So just the manipulation of each other, keeping it quiet, keeping this going. There's young girls everywhere. There's just the objectification, and it's just pervasive. And the people that he kept in this circle, from Harvard professors to Noam Chomsky, man, but like,
Right.
you can't make this shit up, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there. Read it. Uh, go into the files. Like, I can give you the link for that, of what, they're random, they're disorganized, they're just like really weirdly redacted and everything.
Yeah.
But it gives you the sense of just, this is deep. And it's like, it is our system. And that guy that was majorly part of it is in the White House, right?
Yeah.
And use that rage, that, and it is very, righteous anger, rage. Once you start learning it, you can't not know anymore. And then, and call your congressman, call the White House, call the Department of Justice. I have a whole phone list that I put together.
Nice. Nice. I like toolkits. Toolkits are
I'm
awesome.
always building toolkits, but just call them. Be angry. I mean, I've been writing scripts, but I think we're at the point with Renee Good getting, like, it's changed now since last week, a week from today. If you're angry, just, maybe be angry. Rage on the phone to a government worker, because all of those people are paid with our taxes. Every single fucking one of the government-ass workers, if they want to shame government workers, well, guess what? They're the government workers, right?
Yeah.
And they're paid for by our taxes. Just give them a call. Get out in the street. If you see something for a protest, I'm not the best at keeping track of those. There's other supporters, and my background keeps going in and out for some reason, probably because my hands
focus.
Creepy. But you have First Amendment rights in this country. It is to protest, it is to petition. The first couple words of the Declaration of Independence is like about tranquility. The fuck is ICE out in the streets murdering moms tranquil? And it's these same people that use children to consume, I don't know, their innocence for power or whatever is going on there. This is who's in charge right now. And so, yeah. So
my mantra through this has been, if we could really, if our whole civilization, if our countries around the globe could put their actual action where their mouth is on issues like this, we could put some real big chinks in top of the structure of power that currently is sucking up all the resources on the planet, and maybe start to create a different order. I mean, it sounds insane. I know I'm talking about like a gigantic scale, but some of these people, like we have The Hague, we have places where international criminals can be tried. Jack Smith used to work there. He's tried some very bad dude. I know. Oh my God. He's so calm. I was so blown away watching his testimony. I'm just like, how are you not losing your mind at these people?
I think I just had a back and forth. I had a back and forth with him this morning on Blue Sky. So.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to read that, see how it went.
Yeah. It's fine, but we got it. It's just, we know the truth.
Yeah.
And may the White House turn into a prison. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he's ever going to leave it, but we sure the hell can like surround it and make him feel uncomfortable. And, and there's like 10 other amendments. And the first 10 amendments is the Bill of Rights. And those came out of the Federalists and the Anti-Federalist papers. Mm-hmm. And both sides really agreed on the Second Amendment.
Yeah, I know they did. They had reason. They are different from our reasons, but they did have those reasons.
I'd like to get all this done with the exercising of the other ones.
Yes, me too. History is working against us on that.
I know. I'm a pacifist.
We can hope to do better than history has allowed people to do before in these situations. Speaking of witches, as we did back at the beginning, your boss's boss calling you a witch, I have dreamt of a little plan where some women and I get together and just walk a salt circle around the White House.
Oh.
Just quietly.
Quietly.
Just take a walk around the park, take a walk around the, the ellipse, all that, whatever we can get to, and just like bring as much, fucking salt as we need to just draw lines on the sidewalk until that thing is contained,
I love it. And burn all the sage outside of that ring. cleanse
various cleansing rituals.
I'll bring my crystals.
Right. I do not want anybody to lose their minds about superstitions or whatever, but I am literally covered in hematite now.
I love that
because it is connected to Aries, which is where my moon's at, which is the body, right? And
nice.
I am trying to block incoming awfulness from the spirits that ride on the waves we use to talk to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sort of half joking, but I'm not really.
No.
Some grounding and protection is good for everyone.
It really is.
Yeah, even if it's bullshit, it makes you feel like you've got your shit together.
You smoke a lot of weed too.
Yeah. Couple of gummies here and there, never hurt anybody.
It's grounding.
Yeah.
Let's
your lower back unclench, God damn. But yeah, I mean, to getting through this peacefully, one hopes.
God willing.
And to leaving the gulags open for all the people who've committed these crimes against us.
Yeah, it's
I feel like they can go live in alligator Alcatraz.
Yep. Or just contain them all in the White House. I mean, I don't know if you've been in D.C.
we had several locations we thought could be the capital of the country. Yeah. Right? One is D.C., one was Philadelphia, one was St. Louis, and another one was, I can't remember. Was it Denver? Anyway. No, there's no river there.
We'll just move it.
Anyway, we could just move the capital.
We're in charge. And that's where they've gaslit us to think these are the powerful people. And Was the pandemic planned? I don't know. I've become a crazy conspiracy theorist now.
Even if it wasn't, Hurricane Katrina wasn't planned, but it was certainly taken advantage of, right? Like Naomi Klein's book about shock and awe, the shock doctrine, the ability to move into a disaster and take advantage of it, the concept of disaster capitalism. I mean, that is what's happening to us.
It is.
She's been talking about that since the first Trump administration, was like, this feels like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish more people would get the feeling this feels like that, and then lean a little harder into, because it is. A pattern is a pattern. Listen to it. See what's going on. Double check yourself. But when a pattern shows up, twig to it, Yeah. I look forward to the end of this.
The tribunals.
Yeah.
And, for the first, maybe murder, suicide or something like that.
Yeah. I'm going to be careful about where I put my energy around that.
Sorry.
I'm happy with prison.
I know.
I'm happy with these people being removed from the networks that support them.
Yeah, and it's trauma begets trauma. Hurt people, right? So if you get down to it, we say they're evil, what happened to them? And then, that it's like, my father abused me, but he was abused. And I stopped it by going to therapy, right? And, so it's like, and a lot of people believe in redemption. So, but there are some just people that need to be gulagged. And
they've chosen to keep enjoying what they do.
Yeah.
And they haven't chosen to get the therapy one of the things therapy does in the case of trauma survivors is it lets you re-inhabit yourself. It rehumanizes you after you have been objectified. Right. And they've not rehumanized themselves. And that can lead to being restricted from the rest of us who would like to remain human,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But here's to outlasting these fuckers and taking the Republic back and reimagining it in a stronger and better form than it used to be in. That's my hope. Yeah, I've been talking to the women who read my stuff. I'm just like, take big swings. These guys are taking big fucking swings. And when we get the opportunity, we need to do the same thing. Yeah. Great big building swings. Because we know what we need to make. We know what we need to make.
Yeah.
We've figured all that out. We just need to take the swings to do it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that I finally figured out, Pizzagate is fucking Pee Wee Herman's big adventure?
No, let's talk about that another day.
Let's do that. There's no basement.
The people who got fooled by it should be pissed off, if that's true.
There's no basement at the Alamo.
Speaking of 90s again, right? That's a 90s movie.
No, it's the 80s.
Is it? It's 80s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me on this one.
All right.
I'm a crazy Pee Wee fan, so yeah.
All right. Good. Fair. Speaking of people who do inappropriate things, you just can't really get away from that. Because it's just, it's actually so normal. We need to denormalize it. Super duper duper denormalize it for the sake of the women and the girls and the boys in this world who
hell yeah
shouldn't be anywhere near this kind of trouble.
No.
Yeah. Well, again,
let's make the world better.
Let's do it. Protections for you and for your hearts and for the well-beings of everyone who's been touched by this particular group of vampires or by any.
Yeah.
And I'll see you soon.
I will see you soon too.
thank you, cousins, listeners, women who are sticking by us, and fellow travelers for the gift of your attention. We know your life energy is precious, especially these days when there are so many vampires about. If you want to support this Radmat Film project without committing to a subscription, drop into the show notes, follow the link, leave us a $5. Meanwhile, stay rad, stay witchy, like, share, and download this podcast, move that logarithm, and be good to each other. And be careful out there. I hear it's icy.